Everybody ready? Everybody excited? Yeah! Good. Okay, so with me, somebody who has over 60 acting credits, and she's a singer, musician, a environmentalist, a Pokemon Go trainer, and a baker of many cupcakes.
Truth.
All the way from Hollywood by way of Attleboro, Massachusetts, Abby Trott.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
One of the things that I noticed since you've been in Doha, you're a big Pokemon Go trainer.
I am. I would say I'm a Pokemon Go trainer. I'm not the best trainer. Sometimes I neglect my Pokemon, but I try.
So have you found any that are unique to Qatar or anything?
No, I've been trying so hard, you guys. I need your help, so please trade with me because I need regional exclusives. Yes, please. I've been looking this whole time, and my service is kind of in and out, so it's hard, but yeah, please help me.
Is this something you think people should try?
Pokemon Go?
Yeah.
Yes. For Pokemon fans, it's great. I will say that it is a bit of a time consumer, but it's super fun, and it's a good way to socialize with your friends.
So when and why did you start voice acting? Acting in general.
Acting in general? I think my first acting gig was in 6th grade. I did this school play, and I was actually super nervous. I had such stage fright. My friend Caitlin convinced me to join the drama club. And once I was on stage, I realized that I loved the idea of becoming somebody else and speaking somebody else's words, wearing somebody else's clothes so that I didn't have to be myself. I could imagine myself as another person. And using my imagination like that was really exciting.
So you knew what you wanted to be from a really young age.
I would say that once I got a taste of acting and music, I had a dream. Yeah. I had a dream of becoming an actress, right. But I didn't all the way believe that it was possible at that age. It was I think I wanted to be a teacher. I decided that I was going to be a teacher or a doctor. And acting was a dream, but I didn't think that it was achievable for me.
So when did you really begin it in earnest?
So when I went to college, I double majored in theater and East Asian studies. So I studied Japanese and Chinese and Japanese history, and I was also a theater major, so I was performing on stage, doing some musicals, and even at that age, didn't think it was achievable for me to have success as an actor. So that's why I chose a second major to study, just in case, acting didn't work out.
That probably paid off with the anime stuff, I'm sure.
It definitely helps down the line, So
what's the main difference between voice acting and then traditional acting?
So first I want to say I'm so glad that you said traditional acting, because there's a common misconception that voice acting is not real acting. I hear that a lot. So people say, oh, do you ever want to be a real actor or something like that? And it is acting, it's just different. And in some ways it's the same as stage and film. A lot of stage actors are really adaptable to voiceover because they learn how to project with their voice, and they have those skills of becoming different characters. And recently, I think there's a trend of, they say, a natural performance, which is meaning they say natural, grounded, real, meaning more filmic style. So a lot of video games now they have that kind of real style to them. And a lot of games are done with motion capture, so you're shooting actual scenes. So they often will cast film actors with film experience or that kind of acting background because the performance is comparable. But I would argue that motion capture is maybe more difficult because you're wearing the suit. Motion capture or performance capture is when you're wearing a suit with dots on it to track your movement against a green screen background. and they can fill it in with whatever scene later. And yeah, you have to wear a camera rig on your head. Usually the camera's right in your face, and you're trying to act with somebody, so you have to be able to be natural and focus on your performance while all of this other stuff is going on. So.
Yeah, that was the next thing I was going to ask you about. Like, have you done anything like The Last of Us or Senua's Sacrifice where you had to do mocap and facial capture?
So I have not had to do full body motion capture, but I've done facial motion capture. So I'll be in the booth recording with a microphone, usually with facial motion capture. Each company has their own design of rig. So there will sometimes be a microphone right here. I'll wear like a little hat, and then they'll have some cameras. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen the one where the camera's kind of down here, and there's like a light, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, there are different styles. But then also with voiceover versus traditional acting, there are different styles of voiceover, and there are different techniques involved, I would say, depending on what you're doing. So, for example, if you're dubbing, like I do some anime dubbing, and if you're dubbing, you have to kind of marry. So it's already animated, and you're watching the characters, and so you're not completely free to just make up whatever you want. You have to follow the animation and marry your own performance choices with the animation that you're seeing.
Yeah, I thought it was funny about what you said about the voice acting thing. I've done some voice acting and a lot of voiceover stuff, and it's not that easy. Like, if you're not moving around and you have to control your breathing and stuff like that. Right. And I've known some actors who tried to do voice acting and they didn't do very well.
Interesting.
I mean, was it hard to cross over, or?
I found it kind of natural. Maybe because I also have a music background, and with dubbing that helps with things like timing and everything and syncing that. And I had been trained with breathing for theater, so those skills, I kind of already had a basic skill set when I transitioned into voiceover, when I first started doing some voiceover. But I would also say that I'm still learning all the time. I'm always learning new things and new, better ways and different techniques, etc.
Yeah, you can never truly master anything. You just always get better and find new stuff, and especially like what you're saying, because I think there's like, you have like a Mel Blanc, or you have like a Troy Baker, or,
right.
So there's a big difference.
No human is the same, so no actor is the same, and different people have different skill sets, and the more skills that you have, the more you can work. I also love to see the variety of people working in voiceover, and I love the variety of voices, and I love hearing different people and different impressions. And
so you're part of the pretty big hit now, Carmen Sandiego. What's that?
Oh, Carmen fans!
I watched it. It's pretty awesome. It's fun. So what's it like? What do you like about doing that show?
So that show is a different style from dubbing. I love recording Carmen because I get to work in a room with other actors. So usually it's at least my brother. Mikey Hawley plays my brother in the show. And we get to work off each other, and we're always joking around, and it's super fun. There's kind of an energy when there's a director, one of the writers is there, or the producer, Dwayne Capizzi, is there, and all the actors are playing off each other, and we're laughing and having a good time, and it's a different energy.
Yeah, it comes across like the More Than a Feeling when you guys were. Have you guys seen the clip where they're singing a song from Boston, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and they go like all out. It's pretty good.
Oh, I saw that clip and I was laughing because of the way they animated Zach.
Yeah.
That's the other thing about voiceover is an actor can do something, but then the animators, they're the ones who animate and bring that character to life.
Yeah.
And he wasn't doing any of those things in the booth, but then when you see animated, he's so intense and he's on his knees, and it's brilliant. I loved it so much.
Yeah, I really like the dynamic. It reminded me of like Dean and Jerry or something like that. So you're fun in that, but are you more of the straight the serious character?
I would say Ivy's a little bit more of a straight man
Yeah.
to Zach's zaniness. She's got it a little bit more together, yeah.
How much of yourself is in Ivy?
I think a lot. So I'm from Massachusetts, so I didn't grow up in Boston, but I went to school near Boston, and I grew up in Attleboro, which is about 45 minutes away. That's my hometown, and I can relate, and just there's a lot of Boston jokes. And
Yeah. I lived in Haverhill and Lowell, and then I was in Hampstead, New Hampshire. So when I watch the show, that's one of the things, like the accents are wicked authentic. Like they're really good. So I was wondering, like, how much of that do you have to put on, or does it just naturally come to you?
I think when I was in college specifically, I think my older brother has a bit of an accent. So I have two brothers. My older brother has a slight Boston accent. And when I decided that I was going to do theater, I tried to eliminate any kind of accent that I had, just to sound neutral and be adaptable. And I think I did it kind of subconsciously. I didn't realize that I didn't set out on a mission to be like, no accent, but I was trying to be kind of neutral. When I go back home and I hear somebody say wicked, then it starts to come back to me, it creeps in.
Yeah, or when you hear the other words where they add an R, like mar.
Yeah.
That
Pack the car. Dude, it's wicked awesome.
Yeah, like I said, I really enjoyed that. And it's been so long since I've been back in the States, almost 10 years. So to see that, and you don't see many like actors or actresses doing that accent, except for like a movie about Southie. Then it's like super stereotypical.
Stereotypical, yeah. But that's the fun part.
Yeah, no, it works. For those characters, it's great. All right, so you've worked on a ton of videos, like over 50 video games, something like that. What is your favorite that you've worked on so far?
Oh, that's a tricky question with multiple parts, probably.
It's like, what's your favorite ice cream?
My favorite video game that I've played, I think, is Nier Automata. Oh, yeah. That game is gorgeous. It's so beautiful. I love the style. I played Pod 153, and yeah, pods, fist bump. It was really cool I played the game, and I heard the music, and I was blown away by the soundtrack of this game. And then I found out that two of my friends who live in Japan, who I met over there, are the singers for the soundtrack. So it's a small world. I was really surprised, and I just love the fact that there's multiple endings to the game.
Yeah.
If you've played through, you can keep playing through, and there's different courses and endings to the game. It's really exciting, a cool idea. The most fun I've had recording a game was Fire Emblem Three Houses. Because Annette, yeah, Fire Emblem. I play Annette, and it was just so fun to sing her little weird songs, and yeah, I loved it.
So we know you do Pokemon Go, but what other platforms and games do you tend to like play or dig on? What do you like the most?
The most. I would say I'm probably a Nintendo fan, the most. But I grew up playing video games. I have memories of when I was very, very young, my father and my brother would be playing Super Metroid and, Link to the Past, the old school Nintendo games. And then when I was old enough, or when they would let me have a turn, I started playing and became obsessed with video games. And then we also had PlayStation, and I played some Final Fantasy games. And does anybody know Guitar Man? Any Guitar Man fans? Yes? That's the best game. I love that game. So like music games are really fun for me too.
Is that like a Parappa the Rapper kind of thing?
Similar, but it's also very unique. You should play it. You should check it out. It was for PS2, so
it's Japanese?
It was, but it was released in the United States, so it might be hard to come by.
You've done a lot of anime. Are you also a big anime fan?
This is also kind of a funny story that when I was in high school, I found a community with a few friends who like to watch anime. And so we would get together at my friend Elvis's house. Elvis, shout out to Elvis. I was familiar with anime because I saw Dragon Ball on Toonami, and I would watch Inuyasha, Rurouni Kenshin, anything that was on TV, I was watching it. And I collected the soundtracks. And in high school, we were to, as an assignment, write a letter to our future selves. And one of the things I wrote was, oh, and don't stop loving anime. It's really cool. Keep loving anime. And so I still have that letter, and when I look back, I'm like, man, if high school Abby could see that
or your friends
you're doing anime, I would probably explode. I don't know.
I think people are starting to come around to it more that maybe weren't necessarily into it, especially now that it's expanding more, like with all these shows on Netflix and even Amazon and stuff.
Yes.
Do you have any like favorites right now?
Favorites right now. Has anybody seen Demon Slayer? This is kind of cheating because I'm in the show. But I just watched the whole show, and it's pretty exciting. I started watching one called Seiyu's Life, which is, Seiyu in Japanese means voice actor. It's about voice acting in Japan, which is really interesting because it's very different. So, but I'm not very far into it yet, but it's pretty cool.
Acting in general, what is your fondest memory, your favorite gig that you've ever had?
I can't talk about it yet. Okay. But there have been quite a few special moments just since I moved to LA. Since I'm such a fan of cartoons and animation, voiceover, I've met some of my heroes from childhood, and I've gotten to work with some of them, and it's always very overwhelming. I can talk about this, but I worked once with Tom Kenny, he's the voice of SpongeBob. Yeah. And I love SpongeBob so much. I think he's brilliant. And also he's a comedian. He's super funny, it's great sketch comedy. And so working with him, I was trying to be cool and trying not to geek out at him. I was just like, oh, it's Tom Kenny? Cool. I don't even care. Like, just trying to keep a straight face. But inside, I was just like screaming, it's Tom Kenny. And then at the end of the session, after we recorded the show, I was like, Tom Kenny, can I get a picture with you? Yeah.
You mentioned Japan. Obviously, you studied and everything. But so why did you actually go to Japan? How long were you there? And what did you enjoy about it?
I went to Japan initially on the JET program. It's a teaching exchange program. So when I graduated from college, I had applied to the JET program, which accepts teachers from around the world to go to Japan as a cultural exchange to be assistant language teachers of English. You don't get to choose where you're sent to.
Yeah.
So that's the caveat. You don't know where you're going to be in Japan. You're just going to go there. And then I was sent to Akita, which is in the north. And I had no idea what to expect because it's rural Japan. I wasn't scared, though. I was just excited. That's what I remember. I got on the airplane, and it was my first time ever on an airplane, and I was moving to Japan, and I was just so excited. I was going to miss my family, but I was mostly excited. And once I got to Akita, I found that it was extraordinarily beautiful. It is the inspiration for a lot of Ghibli movies, because it's so green and so blue. The sky is, I remember the blue of the sky so vividly.
Cherry blossoms everywhere.
Yeah, it was gorgeous. And then winters, snow, lots of snow. But I didn't mind because I learned how to snowboard, which was fun. And so I spent 2 years teaching in Akita. It was kind of like a vacation. But during that time, I was thinking about the future and thinking about acting and music, and I would sing a lot of karaoke. And then I remember once I was driving with my friend Paul. I had recorded on my phone a bunch of conversations with myself in different voices. And my phone was playing on the radio, and that MP3 like popped up. I was mortified. I was so embarrassed, and I was trying to shut it off. It was just, it was me pretending to be a mother and her daughter who didn't clean her room. So I was like, Tina, did you clean your room? And then I was doing the daughter like, Mom, leave me alone, blah, blah, And it was just this whole conversation, and it went on and on and on, and I was trying to stop it. And my friend was just laughing at me. But then after that, I realized that it's something that is very important to me, is voiceover and like working on those skills. And then I decided that it was either move to Tokyo to try to do acting there, or move back to the United States. So I moved to Tokyo, and I lived there for 4 years, and I was doing some lounge singing, backup singing. I did these children's musicals that traveled around Japan, so I got to see a lot of Japan. And just auditioning for shows and commercials. And the whole time I was there, I only got one audition for a cartoon. And I kind of had the realization that the industry that I want to be in is not in Japan. Even though I love Japan, there wasn't a lot of English voiceover.
True.
So I decided that I had to move back to the States if that's what I wanted to try to do. And I also realized that if I didn't try, I would regret it for the rest of my life. So I had to at least try.
So I lived there for 3 years. I was up in Misawa in Hachinohe.
That's right, I saw on your video. I wanted to ask you.
Oh, wow.
So this is when you were in the Air Force?
Yes.
Yeah. So
I was a
you
firefighter.
were at the base there?
Yeah, I was in Misawa, Japan. That's like way up north, right below the island that looks kind of like a manta ray. They have really great snow festivals and stuff like that. I never actually got to go to Tokyo except for the airport. What was the difference between rural and big city life?
It was vastly different. One thing was that when I was in Akita, in a small town called Yurihonjo, everyone knew who I was because there weren't a lot of foreigners in town. There were a few, but everyone knew who I was because I was a teacher at the school. Everyone I would see at the grocery store or downtown, I was teaching their kids. So I kind of felt a little exposed and, looked at, but not in a terrible way because it was a very friendly place. And then when I moved to Tokyo, there's tons of foreigners, so you kind of blend in, and the lifestyle is very different and more fast-paced.
Yes.
And I would say more isolating because there are so many people in Tokyo. It's hard to kind of get out and meet. Well, it's not hard to meet new people, but it can sometimes be overwhelming to...
Yeah, make it a real connection.
Yeah. But it's possible.
One thing that I noticed too is like they're super respectful and they're hardworking and all that stuff, and they're really mellow, except for, did you drive at all while you were there?
I did. When I lived in Akita, I had a car, yeah.
Yeah, it reminded me of like over here, like everybody's really cool and chill until they're behind the wheel. For them, over there, the driving wasn't bad, but they were super aggressive with parking. Did you ever have any like incidents or anything with that?
I never noticed that with parking.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I got cut off all the time when I would go for a parking spot and then they go into a little smart car or something.
Yeah.
Speaking of Japan, you mentioned Nintendo, so you've worked with them. So what do you love about working with them, and what do you love about them in general since you've been such a fan since you were a kid?
So when I sang the Smash Brothers theme, Lifelight, that was my first time working directly with Nintendo of America. And it was awesome. It was so exciting and surreal to be chosen to sing the song, and it's such an honor. And I couldn't believe it because, first of all, I didn't know what I was singing. I didn't know what game it was until after I had booked the job. So they had me audition with a different song, and then once I got the job, I found out what it was for. So once I got the job, I couldn't believe that I would be singing a song for Nintendo. Yeah. And until it actually happened, even now, I'm like, did this happen? Is this real? Yeah. It's so unbelievable to me. Yeah. As a person who grew up with Nintendo and is such a fan,
The Smash Brothers scene here is massive. So when I had mentioned that I was going to be doing this, they all were like, ask her about that. And, I was really surprised at how devoted the fan following is, even just for the song. It's insane.
So I haven't done a lot of conventions, so I don't often I haven't met a lot of fans in this type of setting where I'm there for a specific interview or reason, but there have been several instances where friends' kids will send me videos of them singing the song and things like that, where it just like, it makes me cry, like just thinking about it. It's so cool to be part of something that is so big and has such worldwide exposure. And it's amazing to be here in this country, in Doha, and have people who have heard a song that I sing. It's really cool.
So you're a singer, but you're also a musician, yes?
Yes.
Okay. And one of the things quite a few people were wondering about was the shakuhachi. Did you bring that with you?
I did not bring it with me, and I should have. Okay. I should have brought it.
Oh, okay. So she plays a wooden flute, a Japanese flute.
Yes, it is kind of tricky to transport on planes because it's a flute that's made out of bamboo. So if the air is too dry, it will crack. And that actually happened to me when I was moving from Japan to the United States. It cracked on the plane, so it's tricky to transport. But I grew up I started playing piano, and then I learned flute. And then when I was in college, I studied this form of acting called Suzuki method. And I heard, while we were doing exercises, the shakuhachi music, and I fell in love with it. So as soon as I went to Japan, I was like, where can I learn the shakuhachi? Sign me up.
What is your dream gig? Like maybe a certain character or a franchise?
I don't know if I have a franchise dream gig, but I would love to play a role doing, as we were talking about earlier, motion capture, full body scenes in like a lead in a game. It's something that I think would be really challenging, and I would love to try that.
I'm sure that'll eventually happen because, like you said, how they're kind of doing this shift to more realistic and natural.
It seems like there's more and more motion capture, so hopefully someday.
Yeah, even the Call of Duty, the latest Call of Duty, it's all motion capture and facial capture.
Yeah. I actually met the lead actor. I did a workshop with Victoria Akin, and the lead actor, I can't remember his name right now, came and spoke to us, and just hearing him talk about it, it sounds like really exciting and
yeah, it's pretty neat.
And hard, difficult.
Something that I was curious about was your environmental stuff, things that you're doing to help the planet.
So, I care a lot about the environment. I would say that I could always be doing more to try to make an impact. But I try to do things like bring eco bags when I go shopping, and little things here and there. Try not to consume too much.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that stuff more lately too. I haven't been using straws anymore because the turtles. And,
well, we have paper straws now that are slightly better, but
even that I just straight on the cup.
We don't need them.
I mean, you have to get your teeth cleaned more often, but it's okay because I'm hooked on Coca-Cola, not the
the other one.
Reusable, sustainable bags, like you said. Navy showers. Do you guys know what a Navy shower is? It's where you get in, you turn the water on, you get wet, turn it off, do all your soaping, then you turn on, rinse off, and that's it.
Oh. I take really short showers usually, but I've never heard of that one. So. Yeah. Well, and turn off the water when you brush your teeth. Don't leave it running.
Yeah, of course. I got the Navy shower thing from the military.
Oh, okay.
They call it Navy shower even though I was in the Air Force.
Yeah, Air Force.
There's a lot of things. If you cut your beef and chicken down to 2 times a week instead of like the 4 or whatever on average, it makes a huge difference. Yeah,
and I try to support people and groups that are making efforts to help the environment. In the United States, voting accordingly, for trying to support people who are environmentally conscious, and then
not many.
I support a group called Tree People in LA that just maintains the local environment. They take care of the trees and the forests and kind of make sure that the forest life is healthy, so things like that.
Yeah. They have programs like that here for the turtles and things of that nature.
I was actually really excited to see, we were driving along the water in a taxi, and there were lots of posters that children had made about the environment, and it was really
No, the cleanup here is
heartwarming.
very serious. Like,
Yeah.
I've been to 5 of the 6 GCC countries, and this is by far the cleanest. Now, this one is for me, kind of, but
Okay.
I'm a huge Satoshi Kon fan. I think it's one of the greatest anime directors of all time. Gone way too soon from cancer.
Yeah.
So how did it feel to be part of Millennium Actress?
Oh, that was so amazing. I had been a fan of Satoshi Kon since, I think, the first film of his I saw might have been Perfect Blue when I was in high school. And then when I went to college, I saw Paprika. I wrote papers about it. I just loved his aesthetic and his dream world. And
Transitions are...
gorgeous,
Yeah.
beautiful art. And then I saw Millennium Actress, and at the time I liked it, but it wasn't my favorite. And then years later I watched it again, and it's one of those films that I think the more you live your life, and you can go back and watch this film and it takes on a different meaning. And that's one of those films, and now that one is my favorite. I watched it again and I was like, this is brilliant. And then I found out that I was cast in the movie, and it was another surreal experience because it was something that I had known growing up, and then I never thought I would be a part of it. I actually didn't know that they hadn't done a dub already, so I didn't think the opportunity was even there, and then I was thrilled to be a part of it.
And upcoming projects that you're allowed to talk about.
I was trying to think of this before I came because I was afraid you'd ask this question, and I can't think of anything that I haven't already announced that I can talk about.
Or even ones
So-
that you've done that you think people should check out.
I think Demon Slayer is worth checking out. In English or Japanese, however you like watching it, it's a cool show. Yeah, if you haven't seen Millennium Actress, it's an amazing film, and I really recommend that as well.
All of Satoshi Kon's films I recommend.
Yeah,
Like
watch them all.
some of the best transitions you'll ever see. Like every good filmmaker has just bit so much of his style, you know. And now we are going to open up the floor to questions.
What advice would you give me and like other people who wanted voice acting, like to like really break into the industry and like get a lot of jobs? Like for me, like sometimes going to an audition, it's kind of frightening for me, and like doing my voices in front of people is like the worst thing I could possibly do. Is like for me, I just want to die.
I think that stage fright, as I'm just going to generally call nerves, stage
that's it.
fright, it's something that doesn't go away. It doesn't go away, but you can do things to prepare yourself. Things like just taking acting classes or practicing or, performing in front of your friends to get used to it. Just being prepared, that can help. I also would recommend, in addition to acting classes, improv really helps because I don't know if there are classes offered here, but in LA there are schools like UCB, Upright Citizens Brigade, where you can go and take a class and you're basically doing scenes, but they're made up on the spot, and they're usually very funny. But it can kind of help you loosen up, and then you kind of realize that you're not going to die if what you do is not great. Because there's a lot of bad improv. There's a lot of bad improv. I've done terrible improv, and I'm still alive, so it's one of those things that you can do it works your skill set, because you're working your acting skills, but it also can kind of work on your nerves as well.
What gave you the motivation to get where you are today?
I am maybe a driven person by nature, and if there's something that I get excited about, I will do anything I can to try to achieve it. I'm driven by my passion for voiceover. I'm always trying to get better and learn and do more to improve, and I will never stop. I don't combat burnout very well. I tend to take on too much. I'm learning more now that I need to relax in order to be fit to perform at my best. So I'm still learning to manage that one. Hi.
You're a cat mommy.
Yes, I am.
Do you give your kitties voices?
Oh, yes.
Great conversation.
And they probably hate me for it. I realized that I have a voice. I think everybody has a voice that they talk to their cats with, and mine is just as obnoxious as any of them.
I talk to my little shoe baby. Hi, shoe baby. It's Cakey.
Yeah, it's pretty gross, yeah.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
What do you think is the hardest point in your career, and how did you overcome it?
The hardest point of my career was when I moved back to the United States from Japan. I had nothing. I had saved a little bit of money, but I had no resume really from the United States. And I decided to pursue voiceover, which is a very difficult and competitive industry. And I didn't really think that I would succeed, but I just knew that I had to try. It was kind of one of those situations where I was just taking it step by step. So first I entered a contest actually online, and I ended up winning that contest. It was called Perfect Idol. It was hosted by Bang Zoom, which dubs a lot of anime. I still work with them. And I almost didn't enter that contest because I was so afraid of what people would think when I posted my video on YouTube. It's still there, you can still see it. I do some impressions. But it was a risk that I had to take. I remember I shot my videos, and my older brother told me to just post them because I was so worried. So I finally put them up, and I ended up winning the contest. So that helped, and then taking classes, just like baby steps. And it's climbing a ladder slowly, but slowly I overcame it.
What do you think is the moment where you thought to yourself, wow, I made it into like voice acting?
I have never thought that. I don't think that now. I don't know, and I don't know if I ever will. It's one of those things where I think I'm always working on this, and I'm always trying to get better, and there's always other jobs, and once one job is done, there's another job, and it's hard to think that I've made it, but I think that I recognize that I have had some success, and it makes me really happy to think, like I said, about high school Abby and what she would think about me being in anime and games today. So that's reassuring, but...
You've done the song for the
Yes.
game. You played it, I assume, right? Super Smash?
I've played it, yes.
Okay, so which one would be your favorite character that you keep using in the
My
game?
favorite character. I love Samus. I love Dark Samus because she's cool. I know she's probably not the strongest character, but she's the coolest.
Who is somebody that you really like to work with that you think is just fun? So when you guys get together, it's almost like you're not working.
I would say Mikey Hawley, who plays Zach in Carmen Sandiego. He's like my real brother. We have so much fun. And it's hard to get actual work done sometimes because we're just goofing around the whole time. And that show too, because we get along so well, a lot of the lines from Ivy and Zach are just improv, just us just riffing off each other, annoying each other, and yeah, they just keep it and animate it.
I was going to say, do they animate it after? Kind of like Justin
Yeah.
Roiland, the Rick and Morty, he does the audio first and then they animate. Yeah.
Yeah, so that show is, I meant to mention this earlier in the question when we were talking about different types of voiceover, but that is a prelay show. So we do the voiceover and then they animate later, and then once the animation is nearly complete, there will be pickups, and we do usually ADR, which is timed to, sometimes it can be, or just lines that they've changed where we don't see the picture, but they've decided for whatever reason to change the line or do a different reading.
So everybody good on the questions and stuff?
Can I have your autograph?
Yes, you can.
Thank you.
Can I have yours?
Sure.
Thank you, everyone.